Welcome to Beyond Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Petrellis, and we are super excited for today's guest. We're running a gauntlet. I feel like we're doing like 2 episodes a week here. After our 100th episode, we really made a huge goal to just see what we could do the second half of the year, literally from July on. So, we're interested to see what number we can get at before 2024. But, our guests have just been unbelievable. And again, today, somebody who is an extremely good soccer player. I haven't had on a lot of soccer players, and now I feel like over the next few weeks, there's going to be a decent amount that are coming on. But someone who is just, in my opinion, plays one of the toughest positions in all of sports. I think you have to have a different mindset when things are just getting shot at you, kicked at you, thrown at you, and you got to make stops. And so we'll definitely talk about the mindset of that later on for sure. And I think we have the perfect guest for that. But right now plays at the Southeastern Louisiana University. We're going to be calling it SLU from here on out. So make sure that, that's what I'm saying when I say SLU, Southeastern Louisiana University. But I have a ton of accolades here. I'll just read some. Junior at SLU, starting goalkeeper as a sophomore, and now junior year, received goalkeeper of the week twice, honors twice last season, which is pretty impressive. Played at Governor's Academy locally, 3-time ISL honors, 2 all NEP NEPSAC, I'm guessing that's what that is, and the MVP of Governor's Academy team twice, and obviously got a really good education there too. So pretty bomb. But without further ado, I'm blabbing here. Let's get our guest on here. Olivia Griffin.
Hello.
How's it going?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. I was gonna say right before I said your name, I was gonna attempt to say Southeastern Louisiana University again, and then I caught myself, and then I just said your name because I was like, I'm not gonna mess it up. I kind of hit it, so I'm good.
All right. Tongue twister.
Yeah. So, we've actually met before. You can see my green screen hanging back here. I didn't do a good job of getting rid of that beforehand, but we've actually met each other beforehand. Your mom and I actually teach together, and your mom brags about, has always said how good of a soccer player you have been. And then when we talked and met, and then I kind of looked you up. I was like, holy smokes, like she's pretty legit. And we talked about coming on the podcast, and I reached out to you shorthanded, and you would just like, let's go, I'm in. So really thank you for like taking the time out of your schedule. I know you're like an hour behind us. So thank you.
Of course. I've been so excited ever since we talked about it in December when I was subbing. I was so excited to get
Yeah.
on the podcast for sure.
Well, we're excited. Now, before we talk about you, let's talk about your mom for a second here, because I work with your mom, and I would describe, I want to hear how you describe your mom, because I describe your mom in school as an intense, passionate educator who is going to let you know what she thinks and how she feels. And she always has the kids' best thought and heart. And that's how I would describe your mom as a person in school. What would you talk about your mom outside of school? I'm very curious.
My mom, oh my, everything that you just said is very true.
Yeah.
She is one of the kind of souls. She will do anything for anybody. And we have this motto together, when her last name was still Griffin. And Griffins don't give up, and we lived by it together. We grew up together. It was just me and her growing up. She was the best mom I could have ever asked for. She's my like number one supporter in soccer, in school. She always has my back through the good times and the bad. And I mean, just watching her as a teacher and how she puts those kids first, it's truly amazing. And I mean, she's always done the same thing for me. She's always given me everything I've ever needed and made sure that I was supported and loved.
Yeah, no, it's nice. Like your mom, obviously I've taught with her for a long time. So to kind of hear that's who she is all around is really nice. And it's nice to hear that she obviously has a huge impact on you, like she does the kids that she educates. And I'm right above her, like my class is above her. So whenever like we're moving desks or doing something kind of crazy upstairs, I call her and I'm like, hey, just in case it gets kind of loud. Sorry. Like just for a
Honestly,
few minutes.
her voice escalates, so you can hear her from a mile away.
Yeah, I mean, you go into her room and it is like a well-oiled machine when you go in. You got kids everywhere doing all different things too. So everybody runs their rooms all differently, but she does a great job. She's pretty efficient. So we want to give your mom some love here. Why not? Why not? But back to you here. So obviously you play kind of like ISL. I mean, playing ISL, anything's a big deal. And you were pretty successful. I mean, team MVP. I know you had some all-star honors, I think 3 times. And like I said, playing a position that is just not easy, and you got to really work at to be pretty good at. So talk a little bit about your high school career, and then maybe we can lead into college recruitment and your decision making, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So going into high school, I grew up in Peabody, Massachusetts. My intention was just to go directly to Peabody High School. And then going from 8th grade, I started getting looks from private schools, which was never really in the cards for me. I financially definitely could never really look into to private schools. I had other people on like my club team and stuff looking at private schools, but I just never could really afford it. And I got a look from the Governor's Academy. The head coach reached out to me. She came to one of my games, and academically, I was pretty average. And you have to be very smart to get into the Governor's Academy. And so that was my biggest worry, that my grades weren't going to be compatible with the school. But I ended up getting in, and it was
How'd you
it
do academically? How'd you do academically?
at Governor's Academy.
Yeah.
Um, I did well. I School's never come very easy to me. I've always had to really work for it. Gov's really, really taught me how to study, how to sit down, how to it's not ever just given to you. You know what I mean? It's never just an easy pass or easy B. I would describe myself as like a B student. I had to work for it though.
I
It was
rolled
never
the dice there because I was like, imagine if she tells me she did terrible there. You know what I
oh,
mean? So I rolled the dice there a little bit, but that's the point. I think you're like B student, right? But would you like the kind of the parallel that I was going to make here is like, would you describe yourself as student in the class and work ethic and all of that the same as the person on the soccer field as far as work ethic? Like, obviously, you've worked and hustled to get to where you are at, but I'm sure you weren't just naturally gifted, like the same situation in the classroom, right? Do you feel like those both parallel kind of taught you how to balance that and time manage and be able to handle all that stuff?
yeah, definitely. School and soccer, it never came natural to me. And I would say even going to the recruitment process, which we'll touch on later, like it's super important to have the grades. You're not going to make it to college in general if like you're not going to have the grades to support it, and especially if you want to play college sports, it's super important. And that's something I realized really early on. If I wanted to go somewhere and be successful, I had to have the grades to support it. Um, so that definitely was an important thing. And it was hard at Govs, definitely academically. I was surrounded by so many like smart people that just it came super easy to them. They could, sit down, look over their notes for like 15 minutes. And I was that person that was in the library until 10 o'clock at night, studying and studying, repeating and
Mhm.
writing flashcards. And Quizlet was my best friend. And just
You
sitting down.
sound like me. Like I'm literally like Jesus. That's exactly what I did. Like that's crazy, but I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, if that's what's gonna help me succeed, then I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think probably for you, and maybe I'm over assuming here, but is college academically a lot easier for you than governance was?
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I felt the same way about college. So I was like, college is a joke compared. I went to Allen's Catholic and same thing, like C student, B student, flirting D student sometimes, like, but not from a lack of effort. It's just a difficult, education that you get there. So talk about that. I mean, we'll get there in a second. I'll jump into that. But you obviously you got to look. You went somewhere. You in a sense kind of maybe overachieved your expectations of you thinking, man, could I handle that? To wow, I can't handle that, and I'm being successful at it. Then comes obviously college and playing at that next level. When you play ISL, typically that is a goal of yours because most people probably repeat their year. Did you repeat a year?
I did not.
Oh wow. So that, I mean, that's rare. So that's actually pretty rare because usually most people repeat or like a 50 year or come in during some year in high school and repeat, right? So that's even more impressive for you. Um, but the college recruitment process itself, so you obviously have to have some success. I mean, being a goalie, you individually stand out in a game, period. And to me, I feel like sometimes I hear the goalie being the most vocal person on the field, even when the action is on the other side of the field. So you get noticed for doing that type of stuff. So talk about the recruitment process for you, how many schools might have been interested, and maybe just what you thought was like best fit for you.
Yeah, definitely. My recruitment process was definitely a little bit crazy, because my recruitment process was right in the middle of COVID. So and there was a few rule changes, like, along my way. Sophomore year, I started looking at schools, and I knew immediately I did not wanna be in the North. Both of my sisters live in Florida, and my dream was to go to school in Florida. So my eyes were mainly looking in down south, and mainly in Florida. But I did look at a few schools around here. I looked at Quinnipiac pretty seriously my sophomore year of high school. Um, the hard thing with being a goalkeeper is usually many teams carry 3 or 4, which compared to like a 30-man roster. So it's not many. And it's also difficult because you also want to go to a school and be logical about it. If there's 3 freshmen coming in when I'm gonna be coming in, I
Yeah.
that's not an ideal situation for me. So that was another thing that I definitely had to look at. But something that I did put ahead, of even just soccer is looking academically. What is gonna help me succeed going forward? Like, I obviously have love soccer and it's gotten to me,
Yeah, yeah.
all these opportunities, but I also wanted to look further into my career and like what I wanted to be doing with my life. And so looking at schools that had my major. So it really did narrow it down for me a lot. Um, and I would be in talks with a lot of schools, but I never got to like the offer point. Like I was definitely very, very active. I was using sports recruits, which is I suggest it to literally anybody that's trying to get recruited. I made tons of videos and broke them up, and I broke up, me communicating during games, me doing distribution in games, me making saves in games, just different things that, college coaches could look at. And I got a lot of comments back from college coaches saying, we love that's how you did it. They're not watching a 50-minute video of all my highlights, they're seeing 5 minutes at a time. Um, and I definitely was in the talks for a while with a lot of schools from the South. I went on some unofficial visits and stuff, with a few schools in Florida. And then came COVID and it pushed back the deadline for everything. So it was a dead period and I couldn't get recruited by anybody. So it was definitely a really scary period of time because um, I was doing so much effort from my freshman year till this is now junior year, and I was really stressed because I felt like a lot of people around me were already committed, and it was really stressing me out because I knew my potential. I knew I could achieve those goals that I was looking to achieve, and it was really stressful being in this period of time where, especially like I'm looking at schools down south, people aren't even flying on planes at this moment. So it's
Right.
like how am I even supposed to get looked at by these schools? There's no tournaments. Usually I have tournaments down south, but they all got canceled because of COVID. So I was really limited into what I had to look at. And I really crossed off a lot of schools from up north. And I started reaching back out to schools from up north. And a lot of them came back to me and they said, sorry, like, we're not even going to take a goalkeeper this 2021 year. And that was what I was hearing from a lot of universities. And
Yeah.
I was put in a really sticky situation. Um,
Now, did you play your senior year or no?
we had like one game where we played in masks, which
Was this?
for a high school,
Yeah.
um, which so sad. I wish we could have gotten a little bit more
So
than that.
your recruitment was really based off of your junior year per se, maybe your sophomore year. I mean, you were three-time all-star. So I mean, you were starting as at least a sophomore. I mean, so they had, I mean, I guess there was film on you. But I guess what I'm trying to ask, and this is more just the curiosity of me, is like what do you like college coaches look for as far, I mean, obviously goaltenders making save, but like some games you might only see like 3 shots in a game if you guys are just way better than another team. So what is the other maybe things, like I mentioned vocal on the field and seeing soccer goalies seeing that, I mean, is that your style? I mean, what else are college coaches maybe looking for if anyone who's a soccer goalie even listening to this?
Yeah. On average, a goalkeeper sees 4 minutes a game, and luckily for me and my life and the teams I've been on, I haven't been very fortunate on being on many winning teams, so I definitely saw a lot more minutes than just 4 minutes a game. But that is not all the time normal. There's a lot of components into being a goalkeeper, and like I said, when I was breaking up my videos for college coaches to look at, I broke up into communication. So I just had videos of me communicating. That is something I am very big on. I'm very loud. If you
Oh,
don't
so you like everyone in the stadium can hear you.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
and I
Okay.
my voice gets very, very deep, you know it's me when I'm out there.
You know,
Um,
you yeah.
during high school, like, I would have, like, these people stand behind my net, you know how they like to, heckle you a little bit, and they'd be like, "Is that a man or is that a woman?" Because my voice would just be so deep. Um,
Do you get heckled a lot as a goalie?
oh, yeah, they love to heckle you. I did in high school, I don't really get heckled as much in college, but sometimes the commentators in college will make little points here and there, but
Like when someone was heckling you in high school, like how does that make you feel? Like when you're getting heckled by maybe like 25 kids, let's say. Like mentality wise for you, what's going through your mind when you hear like you suck or something like that, right?
yeah, I usually if it gets bad, I go to the ref. It's actually like a rule that you can go to the ref and they can, make them get out of there. Because it is hard, like, when you're trying to stay focused on the game and you're
Yeah.
trying to communicate and you hear all these people behind you telling you how horrible you are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, man, okay.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, you gotta just block them out. That's the thing is, it goes in one ear and out the other, moving on to the next, they're just trying to get underneath your skin.
I mean, would
But
you say that's just a mentality for you, period, as a goaltender? Because like I said to you, goaltenders just have a different psyche. Like it's always so curious. And you even mentioned like some teams carrying 4 goalies. Like forwards are fighting for X amount of spots or subbing in. Like there's more spots available. I mean, goalies are fighting one on one. Like in any sport, you're the one. If there's other people, it's you versus whoever, right? Like to get that spot or fight for that spot. Is that like your mentality? Would you say that's kind of who you are? You can just like block it out, zone it out type person, or I know you mentioned your vocal. Like, are you just like a maniac? Like, what are you?
yeah, in my position, you have to. Usually, like you said, there's one spot and usually one person plays, and they usually don't change up that position much. And if you want to win that position and you want to stay in that position, you got to lock in, you got to be competitive, and you got to not let anything get in your way. And I think that is just how I go about life in general. You know what I mean? It's especially in college, it's definitely a competitive time all the time. Even in practice, it's your spot's never safe, but you got to do the work on and off the field, especially when you're playing, and it never ends, and you can never stop working,
Yeah.
and that's just the mentality you have to have. If you don't have the mentality, you're not gonna make it.
What was and I have a lot of high school listeners here too, right? So, what would you say? And I think most people say the same answer. So I'm curious, but what would you say was the biggest change from the high school game that you played jumping into the college game for you? Like, what was the biggest adjustment you had to make to maybe your game or who you were?
You know, I think for me, my high school team was full of they were full of hockey players. My entire team was like hockey players, and they were very, very good hockey players. They went off to like Dartmouth and Northwestern and
Mm,
crazy places. And they were good, but their priorities were hockey.
right,
You know,
right,
my priority was soccer. And so coming onto a team, like the biggest adjustment, and I guess in like a good way, was being surrounded by other people that also are willing to give 110%. And
right.
that was a really it made me fall in love with the game again. You know what I mean? Being surrounded by people every single day, your teammates, your best friends, and they also feel the same way that you do. It's like it just felt refreshing. So
And it must be nice because you are also with people who are just like eat it, sleep it, breathe it, like and
Mhm.
repeat it, right? Like in a sense. And I think that that's yeah, like this. I mean, as a football coach, there's so many kids that like football is like their second or third sport, and you have maybe a handful of kids that it's like their sport, and sometimes I feel like soccer can be like that too. Even at the high school level where I coached, it was like full of soccer, it was full of hockey players, it was full of lacrosse players, or because it's like the same sport kids that kind of play the same sports. So I get that. It's a really good answer. I mean, I'll answer I get a lot of speed, just like
Yeah.
speed game,
Speed of
speed,
play.
speed,
Yeah, that
speed,
makes sense.
but that's interesting as well. So I always like asking that because you never know what you're going to get. So
Yeah.
you've obviously you've been playing as a sophomore, and now into your junior season, and you've won a few like goalkeepers of the week in conference. Is that what it was in conference you
Yeah.
won it?
Yeah.
Now, is it you won it twice? Is that common, like for people to win it multiple times? I mean, you play how many league games do you play?
In league games, we have 6 other people in our conference.
You play
And
them twice.
we play 2 of them twice,
So you only play two of them twice.
sometimes 3. I think this year's only 2, but last year I think we played 3 of them.
Okay, so you have like 8 or 9 conference games in a year, we'll say. Is that fair?
Fair
So
enough,
you
yeah.
won that twice. I mean, let's say 8 for like mathematical purposes, right? Your mama like this, right?
Uh-huh.
So 2 out of 8 league games, you won conference play league. So 1/4 of it. So 25% of the players of the week came from you. Is that common for that to happen that someone wins it multiple times?
Yeah.
Okay.
We do have a smaller conference. So and this even it goes into also non-conference too. So players of the week in Southland Conference can get it. So it also went I got it once. We played a non-conference game and I got it then, and then I got it once when we were in conference.
Gotcha.
And it
Okay.
really is based off of stats, and it's really based off of if there's shutouts and just your stats in general and how you played.
That's great. That's great. So talk about we'll have a little fun here, right? We'll talk about a teammate. I mean, you're a goalie, right? So who's a teammate? I'll ask you two questions here. One, who's a teammate that you would not want to see in a penalty shot? And two, who's a teammate you would love to shut up and save on a penalty shot?
Man.
Not to call any teammates out here, and you don't have to, but I'm sure there's always one. I know there's always one.
All right, so someone that I would not want to see a penalty shot from, probably Hannah Moffat. She's got a kick. She used to be a
Tell me
kicker on
about it. What's the deal with her?
she used to be a kicker on a football team. So she's got power. That girl's a powerhouse. So sometimes
Wait,
she's
she kicked for the college football team?
no, in high school
Oh,
she used to
okay,
kick.
okay. I
Yeah.
was like, let's do a story on it. I mean, we could do a story on it still. That's impressive. Was she really good kicker in high school?
Yeah, she was pretty good. Yeah, we have 2 girls on our team that were kickers for football in their high schools, which
We
is
gotta,
super cool.
we gotta dial them up on here. This is
Yeah,
crazy. I mean, that
I'll
is,
let them know.
yeah, I want to get something with them then because I want to hear stats. I want to know
Yeah.
what they did. Like they boot field goals, they kicking extra points. Do they run a fake? They ever part of a fake? I'm really curious. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
I'm only kidding, but I do want to talk to them. That's for real. That part.
yeah, definitely. Sounds
Um, so obviously you're in season right now. For a college season for you guys down south, I'm sure this be beginning of August, my guess is, or that first, second week in August, you guys are rocking and rolling. So you're in it. You're ankles deep, maybe knees deep at this point. How's the season going? What's the schedule look like coming up? Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, we started off the season really strong in our exhibition game. We won 2-0. And then we played UTRGV. And
Who's that?
God, UTRGV. I always butcher it. It's Rio. Rio Grande Valley, Texas. They're pretty much on the border of Mexico.
I
That
mean, that is a tongue twister right there.
yeah, yeah. You think Southeastern Louisiana is a tongue twister?
I
Try
mean, if I had a guest on from that podcast, there's no way I cleanly hit it like at least like the 6 or 7 time. Like, no
yeah.
way. No way.
No way. I know. No way. I still butcher it. Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
But we won that game 2-0. And then we had a little bump. We played some hard teams. We played Ole Miss and we played Houston, and we competed, but unfortunately, like, we lost those games. But we definitely walked away with our heads held high. We really came into this season, being like, we're all in. We're all in. We are probably the best. I feel like we are the best we've been in a while. We played in our spring season, we played LSU and we won 1-0. And coming off of that, for us, we're like, going into season, we got this. You know what I mean? Head down, we got this. And I think right now we just are working on the come up. Right now we've had a few devastating losses back to back to back, and that, with any team, that's gonna break you down. But this team has dealt with a lot of adversity, and I have full faith that we're going to make our way back up and we're going to compete. And I have a good feeling about this season. I think we're going to do really well. I mean, conference just started last week. We lost 1-0, but we competed, and we play UIW this coming weekend, and I think we got a dub on our hands coming up. So I'm excited.
Well, I know you probably make like a bazillion saves, right? But when you lose a game 1-0, you let in a goal. Like, what is your reaction? Like when you let in a goal, are you just like, oh, like what are you like when you let in a goal? Like I have a thought. I'm just curious to see if I'm right.
You know, I've let in plenty of goals in my life, and early on, I definitely let it affect me. And the thing is, you can't. In my position, you're the last line of defense, and you can't. And you'll see successful goalkeepers do not let goals affect them. If we're losing 5-0 and it's a game like that, my head is still being positive towards my team, encouraging them, because if my head's down, I'm supposed to be the leader on the field. And if my head's down, everybody else's head's going to be down too. So I've learned over time that if I want to be a leader, I need to act like one too, especially if goals go in. I make a mistake, I take accountability, and I move on and I keep moving, because that's all you can do. Stuff happens, mistakes happen, everyone makes mistakes. And unfortunately, I'm the last line of defense. So it can happen. Goals go in. Sometimes they're great goals and you just got to give them a little and move on. All I can really do is save the goals and be a leader on the field. I can't score the goals, unfortunately, but I all I can really do is my job and stick with it.
So you are just like a mentally tough person, then I bet. Like you are probably super mentally tough because I listening to your answer there and just like, yeah, I'm the last line of defense. You give them their moment and then you move on. I mean, that's like in high school, it's so hard to find. Like it's like when you are first figuring out your identity in a team, it's like one of the first things you're trying to figure out is like how mentally tough are we? Like putting them in those situations early. So obviously the college level, you got to be mentally tough for you high school kids listening out there when your coaches say that. I know every high school football coach in America says that. I'm sure every coach in every high school sport in America says that, but that's real. I mean, that's real. Listening to your story and your hustle, and obviously I find it so impressive you played ISL and never repeated. I mean, I don't think I've ever met somebody who's done that, like truthfully. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I'll have to do my homework on people I know that went ISL, but no, I mean, not many. So, um, that's great. Good for you. What is like, do you see yourself outside of like when you graduate? Obviously, you have a goal. You went to school partly, obviously, because of the athletics, but obviously academics and what you might see yourself doing. Do you see soccer being a part of your life when you get out of college and being involved in it? Or are you kind of like, I had my time, I did my thing, I'm moving on to this next part of my life?
It's something that I think about a lot, because I think I still have a little bit of time before I'm fully done, but I think I probably will have a little bit of identity crisis. I'll have to step back and be like, okay, who am I going to be without soccer? My everyday life has been soccer for however long now. But I'm coming off my third broken nose. And right now I'm dealing
You
with
get bullet shot at you. Like, the girls in practice is like, I mean, if a teammate crushes you in the face, they must feel absolutely terrible.
they would hear it from me. If it was my teammate, yeah, let me tell you, they'll be hearing it from me if it was one of my teammates. But yeah, I've gotten a few boots to the face, and that's gotta hurt, man. It hurts every time, and it makes me think, man, will I be playing after college? I don't know. But I definitely think if I'm not playing, I will definitely be coaching at some point. I do love soccer. I love the game. So I definitely think in some point in my life, I definitely want to coach. It's definitely been a passion of mine.
And I mean, I love that you said like, what would be my identity outside of like that? And I think that that's like a real thing. I think a lot of college kids that don't have that next move on to. Some realize in college that when they get out, they want to be involved in the behind the scenes stuff or in the coaching scene, or if they want to be in like the bigger college level or professional level of being in like their PR or something like that and getting involved that way, right? But then there's obviously the other aspect of it of like figuring out who you are. Like, if I'm not involved in this, what else am I besides soccer or awards or recognitions and honors for working so hard for this X amount of years of my life? But then now we're at. And I think a lot of college athletes struggle with that because they don't really think about that until college football is over. And at that point, it's the end of their first semester and they got one semester left in school, you know? So to hear you say that is pretty mature and obviously knowing that you got to figure out who you are more so than who you are with soccer. I think that's great. Do you feel like your accent has changed? Do you feel like you like when you come home, is your mom like, what'd you say? Like, would you feel like you still have your Boston accent a little bit?
Sometimes I think like when I'm talking to you, like I feel like it kind of comes out a little bit. But
Yeah.
whenever like my roommate's from Texas and she's got the Texas twang, like she's got that accent and I say y'all all the time now.
Okay. I'm a big y'all person myself. When I text, I'm
Yeah,
like,
I feel like I've heard you say it before. I
yeah.
definitely have. I definitely have heard you say that. And
Yeah.
yes and ma'am is so big down here. And that's crazy because at home, like you don't say yes, ma'am, no, sir. Like you don't really say that to people because I don't know, people always view that like offensive. So
Right.
like
I'm
down
a
here,
ma'am. I'm a ma'am, right? Like, yeah.
you calling me old? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying? Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's crazy down here. And that's like if you don't say it, they look at you like, what's your problem? So
What are some like funny phrases of like words like down south? I'm not saying necessarily inappropriate words. I mean more like funny sayings or like someone calls something somebody and you're like, what's that mean? It's like something ridiculous. Like, what? Really? Like,
they have their own, like I really don't know much, but, like, they have their own, like, Cajun words, like, Cajun is its own language, and sometimes people are talking that are, like, from here and, like, from, like, the deep South, like, Louisiana area, um, and, like, I'm talking to them, and I'm like, "What are you saying?" I honestly couldn't even tell you what they're saying, I couldn't even give you a phrase, but you just know, and, like, around here, it's very, very common for people to, like, talk, like, Cajun style, and I'm like, "What does that even
really?
mean?" It's crazy.
Like,
Some of the
really?
words are, like, absurd. I'm like, "Is that even real?"
What's your favorite meal you've had down there since you've been there? Like, what's a big go-to that you would recommend?
Man, I am so picky, so I'm probably the worst person to answer this question, but if you come down here, you gotta have crawfish. And that's funny because my mom, literally in her classroom, or she calls them crayfish, but they're crawfish down here. But she has like live crawfish in her room for like science experiments. And I'm like, I told the kids when I went in there one day, I'm like, we eat those, right? And they're all like,
You just like, they're like dangling.
yeah, yeah, hilarious. It's actually not bad. I'm very picky, and I actually didn't think it was that bad. But if you come down here, you gotta experience like the crawfish boil with the corn and the potatoes, and
Gotcha.
it's not bad.
So I mentioned to you off air, one of the big things that we're doing is we're working with DJ Cam EV, Cam Viola, who's unbelievable in the Boston night scene. But him and I kind of sat and chatted a little bit. We did a little thing for Boston Physical Therapy and Wellness in Arlington, and he works there part time. So we kind of were chatting about creating a high school music playlist, and it's pretty awesome. I mean, he's done an amazing job. We collaborated a little bit as far as ideas and maybe songs or whatever, but I mean, he slam dunked it twice, you know. But music for you, is there a song you listen to that gets you a little juiced up before a game, or is there a song during highlight or warm ups when it comes on, you're just like, yeah, like it just a little bit more?
Yeah, oh man, I love Rihanna. She's my girl. So like whenever I'm personally listening to that, I'll put on Rihanna. But there's some songs that are like Louisiana like oriented. So like there's just some crazy like club songs. And sometimes we'll put them on and like I don't know if you ever heard of a jig. Do you know what a jig like when people are jigging?
Like dancing?
Yeah, like it's like
Okay.
I would show you, but I can't do it. But
Like they tap their feet on the ground, like
like their knees like their knees like oh it's like a crazy dance. It's like a Louisiana dance. It's crazy, but like we all like go crazy. We turn the lights off and like we turn on the song and everyone goes crazy. It gets us super hyped up. So that's like our pregame song we get.
that's awesome. Does it get the crowd all juiced up too?
Well, we do it in our locker room. So
Oh, okay,
we're
okay.
all juiced up for
Yeah, there
sure.
you go. That's the most
Go
important.
out there hype.
That's the most important people to be hyped up. So that's good. All right. Well, we'll finish with this a little bit. What's your advice to young high school kids out there that are serious about playing at that next level, committing to playing at the college level? What are some things they should be doing maybe as early as their sophomore season, as far as thinking about that next step?
Yeah. My biggest thing that I'm going to say is go see the school. If you're interested in somewhere, go see it because you can look at pictures online, but at the end of the day, you need to go walk on that campus and go see if you actually think you would fit in there and that's somewhere you could see yourself. Definitely go to ID camps, get seen, make videos. That for me, especially during COVID when I was dealing with that, I got recruited through my videos. I got recruited and it all happened like that for me. Like I literally went from having no offers to being at Southeastern. Like it turned in a matter of seconds for me and I got recruited off of just film. And my film was very good because I did break it up and I listened to what other college coaches had to say. And if they do give you feedback, listen to it. You know, don't take offense to it. And I think the hardest thing for me was not getting discouraged. Everyone's going to tell you no from one point or another. That's hard. The no's suck. But then at the end of the day, when you get that yes, it's like the best feeling ever. So all the no's are so worth it for the yes. So my biggest advice was really just don't give up. Keep trying, even if it's not going the way you expected it to or how you wanted it to. Like keep going, keep trying. Don't ever stop. Keep sending emails. Keep being positive. Keep working hard, and you'll get there.
I love it. That was great. That was great. It really was. And it's so interesting when you bring up the film and everything else because we're kind of been dabbling in that more with softball right now. It's kind of been like our opening of not only catching games and that person in action, but also kind of meeting them at the field and doing some skills and drills and hitting and things like that. So that stuff does work. I know it in the football world really well, and it does. I mean, even for us, like kids runs a touchdown or catches a pass or throws a pass or a big hit or defensive touchdown, like that stuff gets sent to us all the time and we post it. But you're right. Like that is the stuff at the end of the day that like you just putting it on Instagram or just throwing it on Twitter is going to get eyes from people that you could sit and try to think of the most people to tag in or the best people to tag in it. But just
Yeah.
throwing it out there and putting it out there, like, is sometimes just the best way of going. It doesn't matter who you tag or who you put on there. So I like that advice as far as that goes. Um, we'll have to get you some Beyond swag the next time you're home.
Yes,
I need
please.
you repping it down there. We need to get like more around the country, you
I'm
know?
saying you made your way down to Louisiana. Let's keep it
That's
going.
it. I'll get you a winter hat, a t-shirt, some wristbands. Yeah,
Wearing it everywhere. Mm.
yeah, I mean, we'll try to get it to you before the end of soccer season. Maybe you can like, yeah. Do you do any do you have any like NIL deals or anything like that? Did you do any promote anything like that?
Yeah, I work with Green Plus, which is kind of like a protein shake company.
Okay, this podcast is not over. I am so curious. I have a few more.
Yeah, I don't I I think the NLI stuff is really cool. There's so many opportunities, which is amazing. So yeah, I worked with Green Plus for a while.
Now, how'd you get that? How do you get something like that?
I used an app called Open Sponsorship, I'm pretty sure it's called. Um, and I just filled in all my information. I got verified through them, and then I just looked at all the stuff that was best fit for me. And they would send me protein bars all the time. They were actually very, very good. Very, very good. We just keep them in the locker room all the time, have them for like a little after snack before weights.
You gonna
Um,
throw it on your story, like selfies type things like
yeah,
that?
that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
and even
awesome.
yeah, and like working with like and not even just NIL deals, but like I'm really big on like mental health and stuff. And I joined and I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but they're called Morgan's Message, and it's a mental health ambassador program. And it's a really amazing program. I suggest that you look at it at some point. It's really amazing. And advocating for mental health, I think it's amazing. And all high school athletes, there's a million high school athletes involved in it, and a million college athletes involved in it all over the world. So it's really amazing.
It is. We work with a Medford High girls lacrosse team, and they have a mental health awareness game every year. And the coach of like all the games, we were going to cover it this year. We ended up covering their senior night, but it was just because of schedule change and the game got moved, and it just like didn't work for us. But that's a big one for her, and she's a teacher at the McGlynn as well on the middle school side, and that's big, and we cover that. And it was just, yeah, there was a lot of information you look up and read about the organization. You're like, wow, it affects a lot
Amazing.
of people. But I got one more question
Go ahead.
about that. So how do you make coin off of that? How do you make loot off of that?
So you have to commit to them for a certain period of time. So like sometimes there's like a 12-month period of time, sometimes it's 24 months. It depends. It really just depends on the app that I was using. You had to sign a contract for a certain period of time. And if you did all of the social media posts that you need to do, if you did just met all the requirements that you needed to meet, you get a little bit of bread at the end. I never got anything too crazy. I wasn't really in it for the money. I was just in it for the experience and to get some swag and just I don't know, experience it a little bit. I think it's pretty cool. It's fun, something
Yeah,
different.
I mean, getting the
A lot-
swag is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
lot of work to keep up with though. But
Is it? Yeah. Do you have a criteria, like you have to post X amount of times a week, or you
yeah,
have to? Yeah,
yeah.
that is a lot. Yeah, that is a lot. But
Yeah.
hey, whatever, right? I mean,
Yeah,
look the
free,
part, feel the
free
part,
stuff.
beautiful.
I'll take it.
Well, listen, we'll make you can be a beyond all-star, right? I mean, we don't pay, like we're low budget here, okay? As you can see, the green screen in the corner of
Yep.
the screen here. But we'll get you some swag, and I have in school, I'll even throw your mom a bone here. I have from 9:15 to 10 o'clock in the morning, our prep period. I will cover a block for her of her choice.
Hey, she'll love that.
You just be a beyond all star. So you do your mom right, right? Like you get your mom hooked up here. I'll throw the offer out there twice for the year, so you never know that. And then we'll get you some beyond swag. And yeah, you don't have to post a million times. Just post once, like in game. You warm up when you guys all go crazy. Get someone to videotape that and send that to us. That'd be awesome, right?
Right. I'm down. I'm down. I think my
Yeah.
mom would be down too.
We're committed. Yeah. Oh, your mom will definitely be in. I don't know though. Your mom loves teaching. Like if it's like math block or something like that, I don't know. I
Like,
don't
don't
think she'd
mess,
take the
don't mess. I got math.
bait. Well, listen, we really appreciate you coming on and taking the time out of your busy schedule as a student athlete. I know you got a lot going on, and it's nonstop for you. It's not just, hey, one practice and school and that's it. Like there's a lot to what you do and what you commit to. So thank you for taking the time and coming on here today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
Yeah. All right, well, we had fun. We had a blast. So good luck the rest of the season. And yeah, any clips, like anything that I mean, you break your nose out there, you go for it. So any clips you have of like you just being awesome, or even you being like a field general out there, like if someone videotapes that, I want to see you just like
Well, we video all of our games. I'll send you some good
yeah,
ones.
send me that stuff. That would be great. And then I'll add in my own caption of what you're saying if we can't hear
Perfect.
you.
I will definitely send you some.
All right, guys. This is Olivia Griffin from SLU. I'm not even gonna try to get into it. We got an action pack. We want to give a shout out really quick before we sign off to our Beyond All-Star Sid Tidsley. He has a huge game this week, 2-0 Shawshene Tech taking on Stoneham High School. Quarterback, all scholastic last year, as a sophomore quarterback, and like the number 2 ranked wrestler in the United States of America for his weight class. Like, that's legit. This kid is legit. We're really excited for him. It's a huge game for his team, for their program, and we wish him the best of luck. We're a big fan of him, and he's doing some special things. So I just wanted to throw that out there really quick before we signed off. But Olivia, thank you so much. Guys, till next time.
Thank you.